Hey, this is John just popping into the podcast right here at the beginning for a second to let you know that this Sunday we are going to be watching the Buffy musical live on YouTube Live, which means that what you're going to do is you're going to get your own copy of the Buffy musical, a DVD, a streaming copy, and you're going to sync it up with us, and you're going to watch it with us so that you can make your clever comments in the chats. We're going to make our clever comments while we're watching. You can sing along. We might sing along. We probably won't, but maybe we will. We're going to start it this Sunday at 9:30 in the morning if you're on the West Coast of the United States, which makes it 4:30 in the afternoon for me here in the UK, and then you got to figure out what time that is for you so that you can be there and watch that with us. You can be socially distant in your apartment. We'll be socially distant in our apartment, but we'll all be socially together because we're going to be watching the Buffy musical. I'll see you there.
Hello, I'm horror cartoonist Dennis St. John. I draw monsters and write twisted tales. As you can imagine, I was a little obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Lucky for me, so were most of my high school friends, all except one friend who stubbornly refused to join the Scoobies. So here we are, 20-some-odd years later. I'm teaming up with Doc Travis, John Teach Landis, and maybe a special guest or two, and we're going to make our friend Michael Poley watch one episode of Buffy a week until he's no longer the Buffy Virgin.
Hey, welcome to Buffy Virgin, a spoiler-free Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast. We're going to be shrugging like Atlas because it's Season 5, Episode 21, Weight of the World. I'm your host, cartoonist Dennis St. John. Why don't you guys introduce yourself from least to most you can bench or lift, because it's weight. I don't know.
Well, my name is John, and I can definitely lift the least, I think, out of any random assortment of 4 people. I've got very, very weak arms. And those are my qualifications for being on this podcast.
I'm Travis. I'm probably the next one with the lowest bench weight, because I guess I didn't play football in high school.
My name is Michael. I'm the virgin. I've only seen Buffy up to Season 5, Episode 21, excuse me, Way of the World. And I have a bench press in my basement, but that doesn't mean I use it. So I probably am like, it looks like I'm threatening the world when you see that bench press, but like everyone should relax. Take a deep breath. Not gonna use these to hurt anybody.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, we are going to be discussing Weight of the World, but before we do that, we're going to dive into reactions for Season 5, Episode 14, Crush.
Audience reactions.
So over on YouTube, Silver Spike says, all right, I'll grab the bait. Because at this point, this is our relationship with Silver Spike. You do get Spike's a soulless vampire, don't you? Normal human rules don't apply. Spike's a villain, you quote. Here he is, and in this season, we already made it into gray area. By the end of it, the rest redacted. So what are they talking about? I don't know. Because this is spoiler-free. And they go on to say, quote us, it's framed as fantasy violence, which that sounds like something I would say, but any of us could have said that at this point. That's because it is. I hate to break it. I hate to break this to you, sweetie, but Buffy is not a fly on the wall documentary, nor a manual on how to run one's life. It's a fantasy.
Aww. Call it a sweetie.
The more is, and then more is redacted.
Maybe that's my problem. I have not been treating Buffy the Vampire Slayer as if it was a fantasy TV show, but rather a day in the life documentary from the late 90s, early aughts.
That'd be amazing.
What, like as a What You Do in the Shadows style documentary about a vampire slayer?
I'd watch that show. Definitely.
I feel like I was very positive towards the character Spike this episode. So I'm a little surprised to see the anger come out again from Silver Spike, because like I really liked Spike in Crush. I think he's like back to his old fun self. But yeah, I guess we still were too harsh on this platinum baby. All right. Garrett Thatcher says, having Buffy just standing and staring while both Drew and Harmony just walked away was a dumb ending, in my opinion. Yeah, good call. They need to survive because they're characters that we care about. But how does Spike differ from Anya dating Xander while cheerfully talking about killing people in her demon days? And that's just because I think we tend to favor Anya over Spike. And I think they differ just because Anya's funny.
Well, I think conceptually they're different because Anya has a soul. Because she's been reborn as a human or remade into her human form. I think that, for me, conceptually, is what's going on. I'm not sure if when she was a demon, she had a soul. Yeah.
And I think, to me, it's also like Anya feels so refreshing after Angel, and, you know, to have like this ex-demon, but they're not obsessed with atonement or anything. Like, this would feel like an awful character maybe if she wasn't so funny, and if like we hadn't already dealt with, like, we're not already dealing with so much like atonement. It's like a nice refreshing change. That's my interpretation anyway.
Yeah. God, I would love if Anya were to go to Angel as a TV show. That would be amazing.
Just see Anya and Angel interact more.
There's not enough with Anya. Like, she's a great bit character. She would be great in like a web series, but you couldn't give her own television show. It'd be too much.
Yeah. No, I that's what I like Anya as, this bit character. I don't want, like, you know, you make her the lead, you got to add all the heavy stuff on her.
But Spike, you could give a whole show to. I mean, this guy's so charismatic and weird and interesting. Did they try and spin off a Spike show? I'm sure they thought about it.
I bet they thought about it, yeah. And Sagov9 says, I just love these Zoom enhanced bits, especially Dawn's diary from the previous episode. Crazy how fast Dawn went from needing a babysitter to babysitting herself. Regarding the distance on the Sunnydale sign, are we sure there's no decimal point got lost in the enhancement process?
That's an excellent point. I definitely want to go back and look at those distances again with a decimal point, see if that solves the problem. It's a good point.
Yeah, it might jump them from way too far apart to way too close together.
Yeah, we'll have to look at it.
We'll do the math. And we got a very nice smiley face emoji from Juliet Landau, Drusilla. I posted a drawing of Drusilla, and Juliet Landau liked it and gave us a smiley face. So thank you. That was super nice. Happy for that. All right, let's move on to the summary for this episode.
The summary.
Hi, Willow. Welcome to Buffy's Parade.
Death is your gift. Death is your gift.
I killed my sister. I killed Dawn.
Death is your gift.
Then it's glory. I killed Dawn.
Death is your gift.
I killed Dawn. Snap out of it.
Good times.
Good times. All right, thank you for the summary. Let's move on to Great Lines.
Great Lines.
And I'm going to start us off this week with a little exchange between adult Willow and baby Buffy. We already dejaed this vu. You talk funny. Yes, as you will tell me again, when you're older and in chem class.
I really liked one of the many Ben is Glory, Glory's Ben confusion lines was Spike. Is everyone here very stoned? Ben, Glory, he's a doctor, she's the beast. Two entirely separate entities sharing one body. It's like a bloody sitcom. Very good. Much better when James Marsters said it.
I love it when Willow said to the first Slayer, "Hey, I remember you. You're the first Slayer who tried killing us in our dreams. How you been?" Oh, Willow.
There's a lot of great Ben and Glory nonsense here. So I for whatever reason, Willow's saying, so Ben and Glory are the same person? That one made me laugh. And I don't know why. It was just like the fifth time someone made the comment about it. And I'm like, okay, that one got me. And then there's this weird line Glory has talking to Dawn that just like triggered me in some way. But she says, being human is like a costume for like girls and being human is like a costume for girls like you and me. And just like, that was so freaky sounding.
Yeah, that was a solid one. I'm glad somebody used that one. All right, guys, let's do the kill count before we jump in.
The kill count.
All right, so this week, 1 sword gorge that doesn't count as a kill. 1 imaginary murder of Dawn by Buffy, or is it infinite murders? I don't know. Either way, it doesn't count as anything. 1 bonkus of the conkus by Dawn, 1 mind meld, and 1 sibling mind battle. So a lot going on this episode. Let's dive into it with weird noticings and trivia.
Weird noticings.
John, what does this first comment mean?
I really love Bamf Willow. In fan fiction, Bamf is badass motherfucker. So it's like Bamf Willow taking over the team when Buffy's out for the count. Like that's really a cool moment, and it's nice to see Willow. I don't know, being tough and taking no guff. I liked it.
We get the hierarchy. When you wrote that, I was like, I don't remember her teleporting this episode. And Giles seems to be healing incredibly well from his massive side wound. He's up and talking before he even goes to the doctor. And I believe we consulted a doctor last week, and I don't think that would be happening from what I understand.
And I love how he just like walks out of the hospital bed, out of the hospital room. Like this guy is like a major headache for like the hospital staff, like paperwork wise, billing wise, prescriptions. I mean, this is like the most like this is like when it's like someone leaves AWOL from the hospital and it's like, oh great, this is just a mess for everybody involved because we got to find them, we got to make sure this and that. It's like he just caused someone like an hour's worth of paperwork. Easy. He doesn't care. It's like he's got the weight of the world.
It's like the non-humorous version of in Twin Peaks. Once Agent Cooper's shot, he's like, "Don't worry, I'll be fine. It's remarkable the healing powers of the body when meditation comes into mind." And then he's like, "Oh God!" Like, turns out you can't just recover from big like organ wounds.
Chest wounds, gunshot wounds through meditation. Who would have thought?
This is all Dungeons and Dragons rules. Like anything can be cured with a long rest.
Yeah. I mean, he might be like throwing some spells on himself or something.
He's got no magical hide. He got a spear through his side. Stupid rat brain. Stop it. I think it's interesting to think of human feelings like a spell. I love the scene where Glory is confused about how she has everything but is still upset because she's feeling Ben's feelings. And this episode, I think we're going to talk a little bit about the human feelings because this comes up as part of the weight of the world. But the Glory's confusion in this scene where she's kind of just screaming at minions and Dawn and stuff is great. I really like this scene. And I like the way that she doesn't even know the word to describe her feeling. She doesn't even know the word guilt.
Yeah. What a great world to be a god and not even know the word guilt.
Well, it's interesting because it's reminiscent of Anya's completely non-understanding of her own kind of experiences and feelings. Oh, this is love or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, like, you would think that Glory is a complete mess emotionally from the way she behaves, but she feels no feelings whatsoever. She can be impulsive and terrible, but it's like not motivated by emotions. It's just probably by desires or some other kinds of needs. And then like Anya's similarly, like just discovering herself, but of course she has longer to do it. I feel like not that we're going to swap casting, but also that would be really crazy to swap the casting for Glory and Anya. Because I think they could both figure out those roles pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, they both got the chops. What I don't understand is like why they keep saying like Glory is a god and so she's above like these emotions or feelings. But it's like most gods from like mythology definitely have feelings of like jealousy and pride and lust. It's like, what's this new definition of a god that doesn't have feelings? They just kill things. Like, isn't that still an enjoyment of that?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a weird thing of.
I think there's the feelings of gods are different from the feelings of man, right? But it is very much like it's the Data thing of like, I don't feel emotions and that makes me sad.
Also, Glory did a great job of sucking out Buffy's brain without using her any spells. I wanted to ask Dr. Travis, does this medically happen?
What is this? What do you mean sucking? Didn't she just kidnap Dawn? I'm so confused.
Yeah, people's, her sister got kidnapped and then she went catatonic. I mean,
this looks like PTSD. I mean, they kept calling it guilt, but like the way she shut down is like severe PTSD. That's more of what I think is going on with this.
That's how you interpret the symptoms of the catatonic.
Yeah. But yeah. Or like this acute psychotic episode from traumatic events, but I like how Glory's lackeys complain about all of Glory's stuff. That's so amazing. And they're complaining about having to pack it up and move it, and they don't move anything. Also, why would you complain about packing up and moving things when hell is just going to open up? Like, they didn't move anything anyways. Like, it's just like a weird throwaway scene. Nothing from her apartment was coming with her to the other dimension. Like, they didn't have like a what is it? What are those crate or containers? Those containers that you get outside of a house or something? A pod. A pod. It's like they don't have a pod delivery service to the hell dimension. It's like, so she can keep her high heels. I mean, she's going to be walking in blood in the other dimension, I imagine. Or maybe her shoes will be made out of like someone's, skin or hide or antlers. I don't know.
I don't know.
If I was a hell god, I'd wear somebody's, skin as a shoe.
I also like that there's we were introduced to like a new tier of minions this episode. There's like priest minion who is taller and dresses fancier.
Also, was anyone like triggered by this obsession with anointing and getting flashbacks to the anointed one from season 2? I'm like, no, the anointed one. Oh, it's just an anointing. Oh, it's just an anointing. Okay.
It is funny. Like anytime you leave the room, Dawn is going to be anointed by something. So you have to keep close eye on these jerks.
The anointing was definitely giving me heavy triggers, but it was Catholic triggers. It was like, motherfucker, it's Ash Wednesday. Like,
yeah, he's just literally doing the Ash Wednesday head. Yeah. He's not doing anything slightly different. He's just, cross with ashes on your forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's taking his damn time about it.
Yeah. And then Glory wipes it off, and they're like, no, you can't wipe that off. You have to have it on you all day.
Can you imagine how like weird or weak that spell would be if like that's like the fine details? It's like buying a house and the fine details is like, you have to like, I don't know. I could make up anything, but it's like the weirdest fine details for a spell that's going to open up dimensions.
I imagine it's like, it's ritual and it's not really necessary. It's like, you can just get married by signing some papers. You don't have to like do the whole ritual, right?
Yes, that's true.
Not if you both want to go to heaven. Just kidding. Just kidding.
So Spike explaining how Ben and Glory are the same person and no one knew because they are magically unavailable. Like you magically, if you witness it, you don't put it together, is crazy. And it took me a rewatch of this morning to put it together that is what Dennis had done to me when I first brought up the Ben Glory teleportation or same person. And like, I didn't catch that was what was going on. I was like, oh, he's just being weird and gaslighting. Like, no, this is in the show. That's how the stupid show deals with it.
I was affected by the spell until this episode.
Yeah, to be fair, Dennis created a back channel chat for the rest of us to try to get us all in on the joke, and the rest of us completely fucked it up, is what happened.
Yeah, he was really good.
I did not.
I can't remember. Yeah, I screwed it up or something, and then like we couldn't keep it going. So I'm glad you remembered like Dennis's initial efforts.
No, I did because it was so frustrating.
That's friendship.
Well done, Dennis. That was a lovely prank. But I can't believe that's how the show explains it. That's so dumb.
I also like Ben is Glory is the who's on first of Buffy for Buffy
Absolutely.
fans. It's just like to the point in this episode where it's literal slapstick. Where you're
I'm curious how the rest of the fans feel about this insanity. If like they are bothered by it, or if it's just like
I'm on a large Buffy Facebook group where I post mostly Buffy Virgin stuff, and it's a recurring joke that either like some people, like half the group seems to love and engage in it, and the other half seems to hate.
Yeah, that seems like the right breakdown.
Well, I'm glad her spell is finally weakening so we can all be in on the joke. It was just so ridiculous. And then like when, Xander and Spike are hanging out and they like get into the Warlock's apartment and then, Xander just like, pontiff, that bed is just like, they really push it so hard, this bit. Felt like an airplane joke.
Yeah.
Still made me laugh though. So they did their jobs. Okay. What about the trades? There's money in arc welding. When Willow goes to like set up her spell to get inside of Buffy's catatonic mind, and there's this crazy arc welding poster, like a trade advertisement, that is a freaking amazing. And it's just like, text, like our eyes just are drawn to it. It's such a great prop.
I have a theory. I
theory.
think Xander off screen on this show went on Queer Eye. This really intense, like, I've put up a thing that connects with your job and the things you love. It feels very Queer Eye to me.
That'd be cool.
I would watch the hell out of Xander on Queer Eye. That'd be great.
It'd be a great episode where just like in the background they're like slaughtering a demon.
Yeah, and he just like breaks down and cries. Like 20 minutes in, that'd be fantastic.
And like Anya just constantly is referencing like the two Xanders, and the Queer Eyes just do not get with the references at all.
Okay, well then it's like Xander's like just his homage to the world that he works in, but like a vintage homage. Like, I'm a part of something important, a noble tradition of arc welders. It had a Fallout vibe. I really dug it. It was fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I like that Willow is just a telepath now. When a character is a witch, you can just give them any powers you want for an episode. I feel like that's a pretty major thing to be,
Did she even try this on her girlfriend? I feel like that would have been at least something worth trying in this situation.
That would have been the horror movie version of this episode, which I would watch.
So Ben's apartment is super sad, right? Like, Spike's kind of looking around and finds his secret apartment in the hotel that we have never seen before. And it's just like a unmade bed, one work shirt.
He lives in a little closet.
I think, Travis, when you're an intern, that's all you got time for, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have time for a lot of other things. I mean, he really doesn't go to work either, so it's not like he needs a ton of work shirts.
Bad doctor, bad human, all around bad.
Bad wardrobe.
Nice. Looks good in a dress, though.
Someone should get him on Queer Eye.
Spike at least has a TV. Ben's got Jack. He has a book, maybe. I don't even see a lamp in there. I don't know how he's getting things done. I guess he has a car. He probably does a lot of sleeping in his car, too.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, I think I used to assume, Ben had parents and then Glory is the infection and stuff. But now I'm like, the baby was just born like sans anybody, and he's been raised by these monks, or the minions. I mean, these weird ass minions, right? And they get money from worship, I guess. I don't know.
Do you remember that invisible girl that lived upstairs in Sunnydale High School? Like lived in the attic
Clea
or something?
Yeah, Clea Duvall, man.
Like she had a better setup than Ben. And that was looked like a drug den.
It does seem like, if like you're worshiping a god and you do everything for the god, but the god is most of the time a human being. Like, why treat that human being also like trash? Why be like, you live in the closet?
Well, the gods totally prefer one side. I mean, the minions totally prefer one side, of that split, right?
But it's like, like if there's a Holy Trinity or something, you're not going to be like, get out of here, Holy Ghost. I don't know. Nobody likes you. Nobody talks about you because they don't get what you are.
Is the Holy Ghost not allowed in Boston? Is he? Let me tell you something, punk. Get in your car and get the hell out of Boston.
Well, when I saw Joyce in the catatonic dream world, man, I chanted, I wooed.
Yeah.
Because I know that's a prediction to see some Joyce again.
You already got that one, I think. Didn't you, when she was resurrected?
I think I did get it. But
yeah, you've already gotten credit for that. You can't get credit for it again. You could have re-predicted it. You didn't. You could have.
Shoulda. Woulda.
If I asked you, would you, could you?
All right. Well, I'm gonna.
I thought you were just excited because you felt emotions about this show and about the characters, and you were excited to see like a young Joyce. See Joyce again. This character you missed with her young mom haircut.
Nope. Just thought I had a prediction on that, but it turns out I already got the point. Can't get it twice.
I really like. I like the whole like going into somebody's mind thing. That's a piece of cinema I'll always enjoy. But I really like baby Buffy kind of in the memory moment and then like breaks away from it to turn to Willow to make a comment. But she's not making a comment as Buffy, as adult Buffy. She still makes the comment as baby Buffy. She's like, look at his little old man face, you know? I think that's really cute. They go back to the hospital shot. We see Spike pocketing a pack of blood in the hospital. I like that.
That is excellent. And also, like, so Travis, just to make, this is not a real thing, right? You don't just leave blood lying around on a cart unrefrigerated, right? That's not a thing.
You do in Sunnydale, right?
No, you don't do that in real life. Like real life, I mean, you do leave things unattended in a hospital as you run back and forth to rooms, but not like that.
Okay.
Like,
I imagine
like
also there was like a nurse or somebody who saw that happen and was just like, nope, that's a vampire.
I mean, you want to talk about paperwork. But also, like, what happened to that person who needed that unit of blood and all the paperwork that's going to have to happen when it just goes missing?
Wait, have you ever had to fill out the missing blood paperwork, Travis?
Thankfully, I've never had to fill out paperwork where a unit of blood has literally disappeared into thin air. That would be very hard to explain.
Is there a form for that? Form AB positive.
I bet there's definitely a form in Sunnydale Hospital for like missing blood. But also, there are like all these signs for no smoking. There's not just like the generic no smoking sign, but there was a poster about how smoking kills.
Yes, there was.
And the no smoking sign, and Spike lights up a cigarette. I thought one of them was going to pull it out of his mouth, but no, they just let him smoke. It was very strange.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're kind of buddies right now.
Yeah.
You know. Also, I didn't write this down, but Xander calls the like mental ward like. I wrote it down. It was like the vegetable section or something. Yeah, the vegetable section.
Oh yeah.
And I just want to be like, not cool, Xander.
That is not. That is definitely not appropriate.
Right after that scene, as they're leaving, Spike gives us Xander a little spank on the bottom. It's a really slashy moment, and there's a lot of Spike Xander slash fiction out there. I never really understood why before, but after seeing that scene, I made a GIF of it and I put it in the document down there.
You made a GIF.
Because
yes,
it's really quite a lot going on there.
Yeah. You missed last week when Spike uttered the lines, you maybe let it slip in a time or two.
I was going to say there's two things. One, going back to with Willow and Buffy's brain, like it was really interesting because Willow didn't know Buffy when Buffy was a child, but like she's not excited to meet like tiny Buffy, like necessarily. I mean, this definitely is like mission critical. Like we have to find something out, but like normally she should be like really psyched to meet her best friend as like a younger person before, you know, she actually knew her. But like, obviously it's not the focus of this episode, but I was like, she should have been more excited.
Just a little pause. Trav, you're talking totally off camera.
Yeah, that's okay. And then who's providing Giles' health insurance? Is it still the Watcher group? Like
the Watcher group.
The Watcher, like, is it Watcher International or Watcher? What's happening?
Well, as a small businessman, he might be buying his own health insurance, right?
That's insane. There's no way he could afford the insurance claims on the magic shop by itself. A shop that has burned down, like 10 times, 20 times.
For that matter, is he providing insurance for Anya?
Yes. Is she insured?
Well, that's because he's not making any claims on that place. You know, that's the only way that thing would operate. Is like if it damaged, he makes no claim.
Well, he's friends with the carpenter.
It's just like, keeping Xander employed, and you could probably pay Xander $12 an hour, and he'll be like happy as a clam.
This is part of your sacred duty.
Happy to be a part of the team.
I also really like just the way dream sequences are shot, and like the shot of Willow looking at child Buffy, and then she looks to the left and sees adult Buffy in an entirely different scene, and then she looks back to the right, and we're back to the same setting and to baby Buffy again. I find that stuff very enjoyable.
No, that was definitely some sexy editing. I enjoyed that too. I didn't realize you could get away with that, but really, like, we're so drawn to eyes, like, that you can look left, cut, look right, cut, and like you're just following their eye movement, and just like, as long as the character you're looking is like kind of still in this, like, you're following is still in the scene. This, and then that other Dream episode where we went in, like, literally just like within 2 cuts went into the I think it was like the ice cream truck or whatever. That one was like freaking great. This was that was awesome. The left right, oh, so good. Thank you for calling that out, Dennis.
Yeah, you can get away with it, right? Like,
only in television or like video. You couldn't do that in a comic necessarily. Yeah, maybe you could.
I don't know. It would require something else, but you could do it. But it is all about like just following somebody's line. As long as there's somebody static you can kind of be the point of view character for, you can guide through anywhere, really.
So Glory talking about human emotions as a drug is fun. And it's weird to hear what sounds like a rational argument from such an emotionally unstable character who apparently doesn't experience emotions. So this is like the thing with Glory that I guess we kind of talked about earlier as well. Like, do gods experience emotions? Because like, she acts like someone who is completely unstable and yet claims that she doesn't experience emotions. So she doesn't experience human emotions. So then, like, I guess the differentiator is like human emotions, and the human emotions are the ones that are like kind of that make you a failure. Things like guilt, anxiety, fear, nervousness. Probably love is one of those, because I don't think Glory loves, right? Because that's like probably something Anya's experiencing, right? Something like that. But just there's I'm sure a philosophy of Buffy just in this episode about what emotions are and what feelings are, because that separation was happening in that scene. That was really interesting. But also, like, yeah, emotions do kind of make us a mess. I was totally like, I'm like, yeah, just nod along with that scene.
Yeah, especially strong emotions, like emotions that affect you physically, like they make you garbage.
And then I just want to call out that amazing living room grave set, right? Where like Joyce's grave in the living room or whatever. And then this is before Buffy snuffs Dawn. And just like, it is freaking sick. Like, it was just tacky and amazing. Love that set. Like, then it's the saddest headstone too for Joyce. Just like this hastily, it's just like the generic headstone.
It's like the Pet Cemetery model.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then it's like artificial turf as well.
Yeah.
Just to like blend into the carpet. Oh, I love the set decoration on that. It's so good.
Me too.
All the good, bad parts of my brain are tingling. I'm like, ooh, you did that? Ooh, that's so good. And bad. And then you freaking kill your sister in the next room. Wow. That sequence is just amazing.
Yeah. And I love the thing of like Dream Dawn is just like a constant stream of tears,
Yeah, that was a weird, cool thing they did. Sort of silently crying. That feels like a thing out of a dream. I don't know.
Well, it's for me, it was like for Buffy is talking about how she, her gift is death. And like literally, she's feeling responsibility for her mother's death and then literally kills her sister. I mean, it's just a powerful, absurd sequence. This is the episode for me. This sequence.
Good. Yeah. This is some powerful shit. And it's shit you can only get away with, like, like if you accept the setup of like being in somebody's mind and stuff,
But the opposite of like this episode also has one of the worst scenes, like the most boring scenes. This Ben Glory argument scene, where like Ben and Glory keep like not bamfing because that's a trigger word, but they keep like switching back and forth. And it's like, it's so boring. You keep expecting Dawn to escape and she doesn't really.
Yeah.
And like Ben Glory's own arguments is like, are kind of, it's this samey thing we've had about the key and about the split personality. It doesn't add anything to the world anymore, except that it's like an interesting effect to play with. So like, we're kind of enjoying the weirdness of this effect, but like, I'm not enjoying these actors enact like it's the least pleasurable scene for those two actors for me. I just like, I don't know why I don't like it yet, but I just don't like it.
Yeah. Well, I think like Lord of the Rings does it better with Gollum and Smeagol. And I like the effect is cool a little bit, but it's like not gonna like really be like a wower for us at this in this day and age. I think the scene would have same dialogue would have been better if it was just shot with like with like, you know, cutting and with like light changes, you know, do some red and green. I think that would have been a more appealing scene for me.
Yeah. The morph effect just hasn't aged well.
Yeah. Or if like we looked into the mechanics of how you really switch bodies. So like every time they switch, like, you know, like all of Glory's hair falls out and then grows back. Like, so at the end, there's just this big pile of like their hair and fingernails and teeth and stuff. Like
teeth. Oh God, I love the idea that your teeth fall out and regrow every time. That's horrifying. Just a pile of teeth.
Is that not where everybody else's mind goes? That's where mine. Like.
Well, I like how you've made that the most disgusting version of transformation. That would be that would be so rad to see. It'd be way more interesting than this scene. Jeez. Just something else needs to happen. I like how you brought up the Gollum and Schmeagol thing, because like that split personality or split person, and then just seeing them literally split, like literally like transform over and over again, like it's not emphasizing enough of the differences in the way they think. It's that they're the same. They want to show the same, but like we already know this, so like it's not as interesting. It's just like they're both trying to do different things, and they can't because they only have the body for a second or like a little bit.
Yeah,
and like
they go a little bit into stuff like Ben is speaking through Glory's body for like one line, but if they went more into that, like have them both do that a little bit, like really show that they're like conflicted that way, that'd be interesting.
At that point, I was hoping that the scene would lead to them literally splitting, but it didn't, because that's not where it's going.
And during that whole scene, like Dawn just should have run away. She was like, "This is between them, and I could get out very easily."
But during that scene, there's those cabbages. So I took a screenshot of this, and I think this probably looks way better in 4:3, like in the original crop. But in the 16:9 version, there's these 3 cabbages, and the way that they're lit, they definitely make sure that Dawn gets good light and that Glory gets good light, but they also really make sure that these 3 cabbages like have their own spotlight, and there's just like in this back alley on top of the crate, there's 3 cabbages.
You know, somebody was making a salad back there.
an all cabbage salad.
That's why you'd never order cabbage salads in Sunnydale. What do they symbolize? What do these cabbages symbolize? 3 heads of.
Speaking of meaningless nonsense, during the when they go to the apartment of the warlock, the dude with the tongue, there's some really good details in all of his sort of curio collection. First of all, when in the first shot, when Spike walks in, you can see that he has a stack of records, and on the top is Steppenwolf. So he's a classic rock fan. I don't know if that expands the character at all.
No, I think him and Giles could jam together, maybe.
Definitely.
Yep. He has a sign over his fireplace that says "The wages of sin is death."
Whoa.
Which I think that's fitting. And then also the book he's reading when they come in, that he's like intently studying, is actually the Encyclopedia of American Associations. So, I mean, I don't know. That's actually feels pretty. It's like something an evil genius would read, right? The Encyclopedia of American Associations.
What does it mean when I like his style? Is that a red flag? He's got a cool ass typewriter. His chair looks amazingly comfortable. He's got a bitch and fire.
He's got a globe.
He's just chilling. Like he's just straight up chilling, like expanding his mind, reading some books.
Way too much religious stuff on the walls for my taste.
But. Well, yeah. Oh, you're the one who's been clamoring on about Catholicism.
I can't get over how much he looks like like a third Smothers brother.
So can I tell you, I Googled this guy because I'm like, oh, this guy, what's his deal? His name is Joel Grey, and he was an actor for forever, kind of like a bit actor. But it turns out his daughter is Jennifer Grey, who's like a pretty famous movie star, and his son-in-law is Clark Gregg, who's also a TV star, a movie star, and a bunch of Joss Whedon stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
I was like, and I don't know if that means Clark Gregg and Jennifer Grey are married. I don't know if that's what that means, or if he has another daughter, etc. But I was like, whoa. Also, he was like 68 when this was filmed, and he looks amazing. Like was he 68? He was something like that. Yeah, he looked incredibly young for his age when this was filmed.
Well, sadly, this is probably his last episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer because Xander kills him. And I was a little shocked that they chose to kill him because he has some box, which we're not going to open on this episode, that's important. And let's not learn anything about the contents or interrogate this dude, just straight up murder him. I guess that makes the writing easier because everything could just be a surprise at the end. But wow, I was just surprised that Xander like murdered a dude. But
not to throw off your predictions or whatever, but we see his eyes open afterwards.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, what? No. Did they? I totally no.
He stabs him. The blue blood splatters everywhere on Xander. They walk out of the apartment.
Yeah.
Cut to his eyes opening.
Why?
Yeah.
I guess
Mike, you need to watch this 3 times. It proves that watching an episode twice is just not enough for you, Mike.
You could do that cut in any film to at any moment at the end of the scene.
I live.
Also, it definitely should say something about like the easy violence to like marginalized groups. Like, remember how we talked about Buffy is like finally killed humans in her last episode? But here, like Xander brutally stabs this like demon. No conscience, no regret, no nothing. Like there's definitely something to be said about violence, like sanctioned violence in the Buffyverse.
This kind of reminds me of how the original Night Owl dies in the Watchmen comic. Because he's just an old man in his apartment and like he just gets like attacked by teens randomly. Except he's not dead, Mike.
It's just dangerous to be an academic in the world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
All I want to do is study American associations.
Oh my God.
And have people not steal my shit. Literally, they come in, kill him, and steal his stuff. And it's like they're triumphant. Fuck these guys.
This is exactly like when you're playing like D&D and you just like fuck up during an interrogation scene. So you're like, fuck it, I'll just start stabbing people. Like, I feel like the exact same thing happened when we were playing Monster of the Week and we went to that like bookstore and we just like could not interrogate the guy properly. So it ended up with like the whole place being set on fire.
I feel like somebody used their flamethrower. I feel like one of us had a flamethrower and it was used in a bookshop.
There were flamethrowers. There were the 3 of us. Who's to say what happened?
There's another weird thing going on in this scene too. And that's where Xander...
When all you have is a flamethrower, everything looks like a bookstore.
Oh... making Goebbels so proud of you. So the other weird thing is like Xander is like I think the actor playing Nicholas Brennan is kind of like did not rehearse this scene very well because he is or like I don't know what's going on because he's not reacting to the information that Dawn went there earlier and like that there's a prior relationship between Spike and the Warlock and like Xander just stares like he has no reaction to that. And that's kind of shocking that's like, hey, Dawn was here earlier. I mean, I guess now we're just like rescue Dawn mode. And so none of these other details matter. But I was just like a little surprised that there's completely no reaction to that information. Because that felt like that was a big deal. That not only is this not a random guy, but like they tried to resurrect Joyce, like, which I think Buffy knows about. Maybe not everyone knows about how that thing went down.
Yeah, Xander is like this character you can reveal a lot of information next to and just be like, it still won't get back to the group. He doesn't like
because he doesn't even understand. He has the mind of a child.
He was probably staring at the globe and thinking about like funny, like trying to create a pun with globe or something.
That's what I'd be doing.
can I work Urigay into this?
All right. Well, then it's not about his acting. I apologize to Nicholas Brennan. It's just that the character is kind of like, you could say anything and you kind of like, just kind of not get it.
Awesome. I think that is Weird Noticings and Trivia. So let's move on to questions for the group.
Questions for the group.
I know this is too many questions, but I'll get started. Question 1. How did Ben finish medical school? Or how did he even become a medical intern? It doesn't appear to me that Ben is in his body long enough to do anything meaningful. But please, I mean, how?
I have an interpretation for this, and this could just be me, defending Buffy against all logic, I guess. But I always interpreted it as like Ben is in control most of the time, but as Glory gets stronger and as this ascension draws nearer, Glory takes more and more control. But like maybe for the first 10, 15 years of his life, he only turned into Glory like a couple times, and then like it just keeps happening more and more.
That makes sense. I'll buy it.
Okay, because he's 25, right? So
Yeah.
he's gone through college and at least is in a medical program of some kind, or he's doing his residency. And he's been absent, and he also got fired, I guess, from his job as an intern. Anyway, it just seemed crazy. Like, how would a split person ever achieve this level unless they like just have some phony papers and shit? I mean, I guess if you have minions to solve problems is kind of where I'm going with this, but.
Yeah, the minions are writing the papers for him.
Minions and magic. I'm sure somebody's doing some voodoo and magic.
But there was that moment where he was like, Glory, I have a job. I have a life. And I'd be like, you don't have one of those things.
Oh, Ben.
I'm sorry. I should have brought this up earlier. I was thinking when we learned the old Wordluck worships the beast, that the only way that makes sense, because she's 25, is if our dimension knew, like, if people knew about the beast before she was like thrown from her like perch in hell heaven or whatever in the hell dimension. So like that also makes the Knights of Byzantium make more sense to me if there was some knowledge about the beast before like the fall, you know. Anyway, just me trying to explain away things that the writers do not care about.
All right, this is a more ambiguous question, but what school of witch is Willow? And I'm asking this question because we're kind of riffing on the idea like a witch in this world can be given kind of any spell, and it's like, it's a witch, she can do it. She's a telepath this week, you know? It's like fits into witchy magic. Like the boundaries feel a little unclear, right? Can you assign Willow's witchiness to a school?
She definitely didn't go to Hogwarts, I'll tell you that.
That's exactly what I meant.
I mean, she claims she's a practitioner of she's a Wiccan, right? She's a wicked Wiccan, with that wiki lifestyle. But I don't think Wiccans could do all that shit.
I mean, she's kind of like self-taught. She doesn't have a mentor, as far as I can tell. I mean, Giles is not really a mentor.
Yeah, he totally dropped the ball on that. She's mostly learning from his books and then from Tara, right?
Yeah.
So she's like such an informally educated witch. She really doesn't have a school. She just has kind of like a couple mentors.
Yeah,
Giles,
like Victor Frankenstein.
Giles from the Watcher Council, Tara from another unaffiliated self-taught person, right? Presumably self-taught.
I don't think she has a hard ideology. If what you're asking is, does she have a hard ideology? I don't think so.
Right. No formal training, no clear school. We can give her any spell and she'll probably figure it out. She's complete autodidact. Cool. There's only that idea of levels briefly brought up by the Watcher Council. But like, if you were to create, go with me guys for 1 second. If you were to create a role-playing game based on this universe, you probably have a class and it's just called Witch. Or magic user, and just like everyone just kind of goes into this, and then like they don't pick a school or like a specialization. You can learn any spell. You kind of get it.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Which I am more of a fan of, like you pick a path. You become like you're either like a necromancer or you're like a healer or sorry, those are all like all right, but you're not just like I'm good at everything. I feel like that's a little frustrating about like.
To be fair, she really only does like certain types of spells. So she does like protection spells a lot. She does like investigative spells. But she doesn't do like glamours. Well, there was like I think an accidental glamour, right? Or no, Tara did the glamour. I mean, she does do like mostly defensive, rarely offensive spells and like investigatory spells. So,
I mean, but she's also got lightning. She's got bag of knives.
Yeah.
She has teleport. She has telepathy.
Ooh, we should really like write down a list of her spells. Like,
she's mastered the four
elements.
4 elements.
Okay. Next question. What's your feeling about meeting the baby version of your friends? How do you feel when you meet your baby friends through some magical means? I don't know.
I mean, baby friends are like when you meet a baby, you could just decide that's the baby version of your friends for all that matters. Babies are sort of interchangeable with each other, aren't they?
Well, I mean, I'm saying baby. We're saying baby, but we're talking like a 3-4-year-old.
No, that girl was like
sorry. Okay, sorry. Toddler friends. You're meeting second grade, something like that. Third grade.
That kid looked like she was in third grade.
Third
grade friend.
No. I have friends who are parents, and second graders seem older than that.
Okay.
This is like
having taught all of these grades.
You're the actual expert in this. Look at us.
I think young Buffy is.
About.
She's maybe kindergarten or first grade. would be my guess. 5 or 6.
Okay, meeting the first grade kindergarten version of your friends.
That'd be wicked. That'd be great. I would really enjoy that. That would be fantastic.
What if you met baby me, but I still had like my beard, and glasses, and everything?
No, Dennis, you'd have that haircut.
Shut up about that haircut.
We all had different haircuts. I think it'd be wonderful. I would be thrilled.
Yes, I would really enjoy that. I would enjoy.
I guess the only two people who have met each other when you were kids is Mike and John. You two knew each other roughly at that age, but none of us.
A little bit older, but yeah, not much. Yeah,
close enough.
What if adult you met the baby version of somebody you hated? Would you bully that baby?
How close am I to a?
How much do I hate them?
How close am I to a well, a cave, a lake, set of train tracks?
Is this how you get rid of children? These are train tracks?
I'm getting rid of the baby version of an enemy. That's the best.
You need
right?
the mustache for the train track.
To a train track. God.
I think if you're going to dispose of the body, the train tracks are not the way to go.
You can make it look like an accident.
All you got. I mean, I don't need to tell you how to kill a baby. I mean, it's easy.
I mean, Buffy's got it down.
Yeah. That's super. That's super chilling when you watch her do that. That's super chilling.
All right, I got one more question, and then I swear I'm done. So, what's the name of the spell that lets you enter a catatonic person's brain? Like, what's that? I know the name of the spell as a transition in Premiere. It's called Dip to White. But like, what is the? All right,
I think that's great. I think
okay,
that's
great. Dip to. I'm gonna cast Dip to White. I touch you, and then I'll be inside your brain. Dip White.
It's like cerebrum infectus. I don't know.
That's good too. I like that.
All right, that is all the questions. So let's do a brief dip into themes and deep stuff.
Deep stuff.
I just like. There's a lot of heavy talk about guilt this episode.
Yes, sir.
It's feeling very Catholic to me, and it's like guilt as both a power to use against Glory and as like a weapon that damages Buffy. I think the thing that like bothered me the most is when Willow identifies its guilt, and she's like, guilt is good. And I'm like, fuck you, Willow. Guilt is not good.
Well, she doesn't say guilt is good. She says it's a feeling and
it's good.
She doesn't. What does she say? It's a feeling and it has value or something like that. But it's just a feeling. Which is, I think that's as good a read on guilt as I've got. And also, like, isn't it interesting? Like, I don't know. I was thinking, like, when you're experiencing guilt and then people are trying to lift you out of it, that's the story all the time, is that like, oh yeah, guilt is sort of useless and it's holding you back. But I know plenty of people out there in the world who I feel like maybe should be experiencing a little more guilt.
No, you're right. I'm looking at it from the point of view of like an old ex-Catholic.
No, like, yeah, same here. Like, I got you.
Like one of the major things, like, you're taught is to feel guilt about your feelings and your thoughts.
Absolutely.
And it's like, this episode is a real clear evidence of like why that's damaging. And like, when you are like, Buffy is in a very intense situation, right? Like she's in this fight for her life. Right. And she has 1 second about a thought about like her sister dying. And that's this thing that like, that's, the key, that's the key to the key or whatever. That's the secret guilt, like, center of her guilt is like this 1 second of like looking at like what are the possibilities of losing and like thinking about how she would feel bad about, she would mourn if her sister died and then she would move on. And like, just speaking as somebody who has done caregiving for somebody who's dying, thoughts enter your head all the time. They're awful thoughts, but it doesn't make you a bad person for thinking them. It makes you like a person who's processing terrible things. If you're like gonna like shame yourself for like just like processing shit, like you're never going to get over your feelings of like, you're never going to properly mourn, or you're never going to properly like move on. If you're like, I thought the worst feeling in the world, like everybody, I'm just saying, everybody feels the worst feeling in the world sometimes, and it doesn't make you a bad person for having those thoughts. And I just wanted to do a quote from Jaime Hernandez, who's one of my favorite cartoonists, and he's got this dream comic called The Race. And at the end, the character realizes it's a dream. And there's like a lesson from a dream character who's like, there's no such thing as the dream police. So you can think all the dirty, sick, evil thoughts you desire. Acting on them is a different animal. And I like, that's my takeaway. That's all I'm like saying is like you don't have to feel guilt for thoughts, for things you did not act on.
Well, yeah. And that is the whole Catholic thing, right? The occasion of sin, that like you're sort of like you're responsible for not only for the things you do, but the things that you think about or the things that you feel.
Yeah,
totally.
And then you have to atone for those. Like you have to confess to the priest, not only about your actions, but about your thoughts.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're lying to the priest, and you're like only like, dig in your hole to hell faster, right?
Yeah, which I agree. I think is pretty awful. But I think there is a question that I don't really know where I fall on, which is like, does guilt do anything for self-policing? Like, if you have a desire to do something bad, is your guilt either probably hopefully not about the feeling, but does your guilt about bad things you've done in the past actually help you police? I don't know that it does, because like. On the one hand, like I said, I feel like there's a lot of horrible people out there who I wish would feel more guilty about the things they're doing. On the other hand, I also bet that there's a lot of people doing horrible things who feel really guilty about them and continue to do them. Like, I can think of a lot of things that guilt has not stopped me from doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I think like if guilt is the thing that's stopping you from committing a crime or something, then I'm glad it's there, I guess. But like, I'd rather there be some sort of higher moral reasoning, I guess.
Yeah.
Than just like, because guilt is so connected directly to me with like punishment, right? Mm-hmm. We should have motivations beyond just like reward and punishment, I guess. Right. But who am I to police somebody's internal motivations for their behavior, I guess?
You're a man with a microphone. What else do you need?
Yeah. All right. Well, that is some themes. I don't know.
Well, I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to say I really appreciate what you said, Dennis. That's a really mature and interesting thought, and it does kind of expose the immaturity of the show's perception of guilt, or at least Buffy's, right? Because what you're talking about is like you should have the thoughts. You should be able to have like that you don't act on them, but have these kind of thoughts that explore whatever it is that you need to explore, and that Buffy kind of stops at the thought, punished for the thought, which is like you're saying, which is Catholic, right? To be punished for the thought, which is crazy. And I had never put that together. I went to Catholic school very briefly and experienced some of that thought punishment, and it's terrible. It's the worst part. And I only went for 2 years, but I remember it so intensely because it was such a surprising jolt of negativity to live with, that idea that you could be punished for your thoughts, for sinful thoughts or
thought
whatever.
Crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, Willow was raised in the Jewish tradition. I don't know if she identifies as Jewish or Wiccan now, as we've talked about. But, they also have guilt traditions also. So she can hook into that as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's all about, what the purpose of the guilt is. So the Catholic tradition, the purpose of guilt is to control the parishioners, keep them in line, keep them giving money to the church, keep the church in power, right?
So cynical, Travis. Anyways.
So I'm not Catholic, so I can say that and not worry about being excommunicated or going to hell.
Which is what I'm worried about.
Yeah. So
what I've learned is basically I say I'm an old ex-Catholic, but I've never been excommunicated. So as far as the church is concerned, I'm still in their books, know?
Well, I'm just saying, it depends on the purpose behind the guilt, whether it's good or bad or useful. Clearly, in the case of Catholicism, guilt is not useful to most human beings, but I suppose there's some cultures where guilt could be useful and is not necessarily a bad thing. But that's just me kind of thinking broadly about that. One thing I didn't like about this with Buffy being guilty or feeling guilty was because she thought John would die and then people would say that they're sorry for her and her life would go on. But that's not what the show's talking about. The show's talking about an apocalypse. So if Dawn died, that's it. I mean, unless Dawn died before the worlds were merged. And maybe that's what she's thinking of. But that's definitely not what the show's about. If Dawn dies, there is no next year. It's the dimensions merge. Am I missing something here?
No, I mean, she could be thinking about a partial victory, but would be the mechanics of how that would work, right? Defeat Glory by killing Dawn. But
okay, maybe
I think she's just thinking about just the mechanic, just the feeling of your giving up on your sister's life instead of the instead of we'll be living in hell, the world will be torn apart, and people will be sorry, Buffy. She's not thinking about that, I guess.
Okay. Because I definitely, when I was watching, I'm oh, she's going to say something totally different than talking about guilt about Dawn. And then she didn't say anything. She said something, because I haven't seen this episode in a very long time. So I was oh, that's what she thought. And then it made sense to me. But what I thought she was going to be, her eureka moment, her epiphany, definitely what I thought it should be was not what it was. So I was oh, okay, that makes no sense. So anyway, so I have my own ideas of what that moment should have been instead of what the show wants you to think it is. But I can't say because it's a spoiler because it involves the next episode.
Oh my gosh. So excited to finish this season. So excited. I'm sure we all are.
We're all very excited to have this finished.
And then we can get to season 6.
Yeah. But I think that's been Themes and Deep Stuff. So let's dip into recommendations.
Recommendations.
I'm going to recommend the Lars von Trier movie Melancholia because I feel this and the next episode are if Joss Whedon and Lars von Trier are given the same assignment and they turn in two very drastically different works. They're you need a story that involves the end of the world, sisters, catatonia, and major depression. And then they come up with entirely different works, but they all use the same elements. And also I also think Kristen Dunst is a Sarah Michelle Gellar type, right? They could go out for the same roles. So yeah, you can watch that movie as a depressing alternate Buffy universe if you wanted. I also really like it, but it's not a movie I come back to a lot because it's dealing heavily with such depression that you can't move. but it's a good movie if you like Lars von Trier. I'm also going to recommend the movie Lost Highway for kind of two reasons. One is like anything that's, we're walking in the mindscapes and stuff. I'm always like, this feels like a David Lynch movie a little bit. Two, this movie specifically, because this movie involves a lot of people sharing the same bodies or like inhabiting different bodies or something. Like Patricia Arquette plays two different characters and is also maybe Robert Blake. Bill Pullman is two different bodies, two different characters, but sure, same. I don't know. It's a weird one. If you like David Lynch and if you like Trent Reznor and Marilyn Manson, you're gonna like this movie. A little bit of warning that like Robert Blake is a very spooky main character, and like if you want to watch a movie where somebody who may or may not have really killed their wife plays like a killer, there's a little bit of that.
I didn't know about that.
He was what's it called? Anyway, he's not convicted of killing his wife, but
great. No, he was. Oh, right. So he's allegedly killed his wife, right? But he went to trial.
He was exonerated. Yeah. I had to look it up this morning because I thought he had done it.
No wife killing. I was exonerated.
I'm also going to recommend the television show Legion on FX because that show is really good and involves a lot of going into people's minds. It's for my money, it's the best live action X-Men stuff out there. Although I haven't seen the third season of Legion yet. But it's the same creator who did the Fargo television series. And so he knows what he's doing. He's doing good stuff. And I'm sure I've already recommended this on the podcast, but it's worth mentioning again. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'm sure I've recommended that. Because we're going into memories. All right, let's do predictions.
Virgin predictions.
Yes. Okay. So because I was not on the podcast last week, we have to discuss 2 episodes worth of predictions. But before we do that, Michael, you are currently at a 64.81 overall and a 67.44 for season 5.
Okay. That is crazy that you and I do know the kid versions of each other. That is weird. Baby John.
Yep. Not that different.
Baby John is best John.
Oh, thanks.
Just kidding.
So, Michael, going back to season 5, episode 5, beginning of this season, you predicted that Dawn is in fact the key to another dimension. Another dimension. So that is confirmed because that turns out to be right. And you also predicted in the same episode that Dawn is in fact the key to the home dimension, specifically of the red dress monster.
I think that one's denied.
Do you think that one's denied? How so?
Because the Knights of Byzantium say the key is the key to all dimensions. And that's why the key is so dangerous. Is
of that
it will tear apart every single dimension and all universes.
I think we can confirm this one. I mean, it's if I open all the doors on the street, I have opened the door to my house.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Woo, okay. That's a close one. Shit.
Okay. A couple episodes later, you predicted that Glory is late to a gathering. I think we now know that that is not specifically true in any way.
Wait, whoa. She's late to her party, her homecoming party.
No, we
no
find
party.
out that she was thrown out of her dimension. She was dethroned by 2 other gods.
Yeah.
And kicked out, and now she's coming back to reign.
Yeah, but she wanted to get back years ago. I mean, she's technically late to her return.
Mike's prediction is that there was going to be a gathering, maybe a hootenanny.
Well, what's going to happen next episode?
Do you want to leave this one open, Travis? Is that what you're saying?
I will. We can close it because there's already 2 votes against 1, and that won't change.
Okay, we're going to close it. All right, it's denied.
This show is really about what John and Dennis think. Yep. All right, we just got to let that happen.
I'm glad you caught on.
I just lost a bet. I just lost one. I was going to deny Mike this is the key. Dawn is the key to Glory's dimension, and you guys overruled me. So it doesn't always. I know there's this rep on this show that I like, bully Travis with predictions, but it looks like it's about split right now.
It's definitely not split.
We got to bring guests on this show.
So, and season 5, episode 19, just a couple episodes ago, you predicted that Glory is going to drink/eat some Dawn blood in the next episode, season 20, Spiral. Well,
Didn't
in
happen.
season 20, that does not specifically happen. So that is denied.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I can't account for TV's terrible pacing.
So after that episode, Michael, your overall accuracy dropped from 64.81 to 64.60. So you lost 0.2 of a percentage point. Your accuracy for the season dropped from a 67.44 to a 65.96. So down by a couple percentage points for the season. But we've got more to do because there's this episode as well. Okay, so season 2, episode 17, you predicted Giles will never be interrogated by police.
And I wanted to highlight that because so far your prediction is remaining true. This is one of the ones we just have to keep open because it's a never. But Giles comes into the hospital with a massive wound from a medieval knight, and there are no cops by his bedside. We know he could just leave the hospital, causing tons of paperwork for everybody.
Travis, if someone comes in with a spear wound, do you contact the police?
That's I imagine if you went through the ER, they might. I mean, you don't necessarily call the police for illegal activity. You're not the police.
Right. If someone comes in with gunshot wounds, do you automatically call the police?
I don't know. I don't know if the ER does that.
Oh, okay.
I've never had to call the police on anyone.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe more realistic than we think. Okay. Season 5, episode 9, Michael predicted that the exact cold drinks machine will return, which it has not yet. However, Dennis.
Well, last week we had a visit from 2 different vending machines that were not the exact cold drinks machine.
Okay, so that one stays open.
So it was just mocking us.
Okay.
Yes, it continues to stay open.
Season 5, episode 13, we learned Glory can use Dawn as the key without killing Dawn, which I believe we've learned this episode is not the case, or at least according to Glory at this point, seems to be not the case. Dennis, what do you think? How do you want to rule on this one?
Well, we know from the very end that Giles declares kill Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And Glory is very specifically saying, like, this is both of our last days as humans.
Right. So go ahead and deny that one.
Although, like, because the phrasing is can use, and we don't know how the specifics yet of this.
Okay. The
mechanics of the spell.
So we'll leave this one open in that case.
Travis, what do you think?
We'll just leave it open.
All right.
Which leaves us with no confirmed or denied positions for this episode, thus leaving everything where it is, with an overall score of 64.6 and a season score of 65.96.
They're getting closer together.
They are.
Will they merge?
Yes. Regression to the mean, I suppose.
All right. I have new predictions because I'm a fool.
Because we make you.
Dawn has yet to achieve her final form.
This is my final form.
I don't know what her final form is, but she's yet to achieve it. Perhaps
Dawn
next episode.
level 4.
We need a glimpse of this otherworldliness from Dawn, so I'd like to see that going in my predictions. Predictions 2. What's in this box, that Warlock's box? I think there's a mirror in that box. And I think there's a mirror in that box. That's the prediction. This is just speculation. I think a mirror in the box because a mirror is an amazing magical trick that can be used to create doubles of someone. And if I was going to separate Glory and Ben, I think by either smashing a mirror or making one of them look in a mirror, whatever it takes, that would create and destroy the other one, right? Because maybe you could get Ben to look in. This is just speculation. You could get Glory to look in a mirror, smash it, kills her. Ben is, reverts into her body. I don't know. I think that Warlock, third prediction, combined Glory and Ben. He is responsible. He's some kind of minion. He mentioned his worship of Glorificus. He did something way back. He combined them. Maybe we'll hear a little bit about it. Maybe not. I'm hoping we do. Also, Glory and Ben are going to split into two separate people whenever what's in the Warlock's box gets destroyed. I said Warlock's box. Let me just say whenever. When, whatever. And I should say gets used or destroyed. I just want to say used, right? Whatever is in the Warlock's box is the thing that's going to split Glory and Ben. Gets used. And then my super, because I didn't get any points for this, I think Buffy and Joyce together in a scene in another episode. We need this. I need this. Buffy and Joyce, maybe we can give each other a hug, saying it's going to be all right. One of those. But just saying Buffy, Joyce together in the scene. Of course, we need some kind of Summers family reunion, even if but briefly, so that Joyce can tell Buffy it's okay to take care of Dawn, or it's okay to move on. Whatever it is, this scene's going to happen. Probably in another dimension or a dream world. But once we get into this dimensional shit, isn't death just another dimension? Probably. Probably Mom is in this dimension.
Mike, this prediction is going on for too long. You need to. Okay. This is like a.
Okay, Buffy and Joyce together in a scene in another episode.
Very good.
I like your storytelling, Mike.
It's just speculative storytelling. I do it to annoy Travis.
Do you want to make any prediction regarding the phrase that was uttered many times this episode called "Death is a gift"? Your gift is death. What do you want to do a prediction on that or no?
Sounds like I do.
Well, they only said it like a bunch of times,
right? Yes. Your prediction is people will be afraid to get gifts from Buffy, which is hilarious.
I mean, if Buffy literally dies, then that's a gift to everyone else because they don't have to do any of this shit. They only have to be involved in the, this Slayer combat and all this, life-threatening action because they're her friend. So Buffy's death would be a gift, but what will literally happen with that phrase? They will say that phrase again. They can't help themselves. They will literally say the phrase.
Ooh, that's a good prediction. That's an easy point.
I feel like you're really trying to stack things for Mike.
Okay, we're going to hear that phrase. Death is a gift in the next episode. Death is your gift, Buffy. But, I mean, what does it mean?
You will hear the phrase, death is your gift, Buffy.
I mean, it's ambiguous Oracle shit. They could do whatever they want with it. I can't predict what they're going to do with this.
All right, I was just asking because they said it a bunch of times.
All right, I'm recording it. Death is your gift will be heard again in the next episode.
All right, can we just the phrase was death is your gift.
Yes.
Just to not be an asshole and be like, they did not say death is a gift. Death is your gift. I love all three of you guys.
I love you too.
Love you too. In your present forms.
In your present forms. I don't know about baby forms. But I have been your host, Dennis St. John. I worked on Snoopy in Space, which is on Apple TV Plus right now. And I have mini comics and collections and a graphic novel. And you can find all that shit on DennisComics.com. That's DennisComix. And that's also my Twitter and my Instagram. Is anyone else working on anything they want to share? All right, well then... Thank you, one and all, for listening and talking to us at Buffy Virgin. You can visit our website, buffyvirgin.com, for links to blog, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're on Twitter and Instagram, sometimes celebrities like our pictures. Reach out. We love to hear from you. Please mash that button of rating and reviewing us. We need more raters, reviewers. And listen to us on the podcast listener of your choice, and we'll see you in hell.